Have you ever paused and quietly wondered, why do so many of us remain caught in the same patterns, year after year? We seek answers in books, we listen to wise voices, we speak of change. And yet, like leaves carried by the same old wind, we circle back to where we began. Why is this so? It is because we often turn away from the difficult truths, the kind that could truly open the gate to freedom. We build small shelters in the mind, calling them comfort. But these shelters are like nets. The Buddha taught that freedom begins not when we run from discomfort, but when we face the world and ourselves exactly as they are, without decoration, without denial. Today, I will share with you 20 truths of life. These are not meant to burden you, nor to bring heaviness to your heart. They are offered as lanterns on a dark path, so that you might walk with greater clarity, with steadier steps. Because when we welcome truth, the mind grows clear like still water. Our actions naturally align with the path of wisdom, and slowly, the chasing, the endless running after illusions, begins to quiet. But understand this, many will hear these truths, and their hearts will close like a flower at night. They will cling to the familiar, protect the stories they have long told themselves. Will that be you? Or will you be among those rare ones, those willing to listen, not just with the ears, but with the whole being? Those ready to allow these truths to soften the walls they've built and invite transformation. The Buddha once said, "Just as a solid rock is not shaken by the storm, so the wise are not moved by praise or blame." The more we resist reality, the more suffering binds us. The more we see clearly, the more the path opens before us. So, if you are ready, truly ready, take a slow, deep breath. Feel the ground beneath you, and with openness in your heart, let us begin this journey together. 1. No one can walk the path for you. At first, this may feel like a harsh truth, like a cold breeze cutting through comfort. But if you listen with the heart, you'll see it is not a burden, but an invitation. Since childhood, many of us have been gently taught in small ways to wait. Wait for guidance, wait for rescue, wait for the perfect moment, the right person, the clear sign from the universe that now is the time to act. And so, we grow older, still hoping that somehow, something outside of ourselves will lift the weight of dissatisfaction, will carry us through hardship, will finally bring us peace. But the Buddha's teachings remind us, no one else can cross the river of suffering for us. There is no other whose feet can tread the path toward awakening on our behalf. Friends may encourage us, teachers may point the way, but the steps, those are ours alone to take. The world is not a stage where a hero arrives to deliver us from our struggles. Life does not offer salvation through chance alone. The truth is, no external force can bring us lasting liberation until we, ourselves, are willing to meet life with mindfulness, with effort, with a heart ready to see clearly. The Dhammapada speaks to this directly. By oneself is evil done, by oneself is one defiled. By oneself is evil left undone, by oneself is one made pure. Purity and impurity depend on oneself. No one can purify another. And yet, how often do we delay? We whisper to ourselves, "When I feel stronger, I'll begin. When the conditions are better, I'll act. When the path is easy, I will walk it." But all of this is like standing at the edge of the forest, waiting for the trees to part and make way. The path opens not through waiting, but through walking. When we fully take this truth into the heart, something beautiful happens. At first, there may be a moment of sorrow, to realize that no savior is coming. But beyond that moment lies freedom. If no one else can walk for you, then the path is yours, entirely yours. There is no more need to seek permission, no more waiting for signs, no more longing for rescue. Right now, in this breath, in this moment, you are free to begin. Look at those who grow, who transform, who find peace. They are not the ones who waited for certainty. They are the ones who, in the midst of confusion and difficulty, took one small step, then another. They understood that peace is not given. It is cultivated, like a gardener tending the soil with patience and care. And so, ask yourself gently, where in your life are you still waiting? Where are you hoping that something outside will bring you the peace you seek? See it clearly. Breathe into it. And then, choose. Choose presence over delay, effort over hesitation, the middle way over extremes of hope or despair. For as the Buddha taught, no one saves us but ourselves. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path. And when you do, you will discover that the strength, the wisdom, the compassion you were hoping to find, it has been within you all along, waiting quietly for you to awaken. 2. Life does not respond to emotion alone. It responds to intention and right action. At first, this truth may feel unsettling, almost as if life is cold or unfeeling. We are, after all, beings who experience deeply. We know joy, sorrow, frustration, longing. And over time, many of us come to believe that if our emotions are strong enough, if our sadness is deep, if our frustration is great, if our hope burns brightly, then somehow life will shift in response, that the universe will hear our inner storms and answer with relief. But the Buddha's teachings gently remind us, the world flows according to cause and effect, not according to how much we feel. It is not our tears or longing that shape the path before us, but the seeds we plant through our thoughts, words, and deeds. This truth may seem harsh at first, but if we sit with it quietly, we see that it offers great freedom, because it means we are not bound by how we feel. Our moods, our passing emotions, they need not dictate whether we move forward or stay still. We can choose right effort even when the heart feels heavy. We can choose right action even when fear or doubt clouds the mind. And when we do, the world begins to reflect that back to us, not because it judges or favors, but because this is the simple law of karma, the natural unfolding of cause and effect. Consider how often we see people trapped by their own emotions. Someone feels tired and abandons the practice that would have brought them peace. Another feels anxious and withdraws from the very opportunities that could have opened new doors. Someone else waits for inspiration before creating, and so the days slip quietly past. And life mirrors these choices back, not as punishment, but as the natural result of seeds not planted, of steps not taken. The Buddha taught, what we are today comes from our thoughts of yesterday, and our present thoughts build our life of tomorrow. Our life is the creation of our mind. Emotions are not the enemy. They are signals, like the wind that carries the scent of approaching rain, or the crackling of dry leaves warning of fire. They point to what matters to us, where our fears lie, where compassion is needed. But they are not commands. They are not the masters of our actions. When we wait for the perfect mood, the perfect feeling before we act, we often remain stuck. The path of the Dharma calls us to move with mindfulness and purpose, even when the inner weather is stormy. And here is the deeper freedom. When we choose right action, when we step forward in kindness, in wisdom, in courage, even in small ways, the heart begins to settle. Emotions that once ruled us begin to soften. Confidence and calm grow, not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because we have learned to walk in harmony with the truth of cause and effect. As we move with right effort, life responds in kind, not out of sympathy for our sorrow, but because we have set new causes in motion. So I invite you now to reflect. Where in your life are you waiting for emotion to lead? Are you waiting for courage to arise before you speak your truth? Are you waiting for inspiration to strike before you take that first step? Are you waiting for the fear to fade before you move towards growth? What if you chose to act with clarity now and let the emotions follow in their own time. Because the truth is this: life does not pause to see how we feel. It flows according to what we offer it through our intentions, through our choices, through our deeds. When we move with mindfulness and effort, life opens. When we wait and hesitate, life simply waits with us. And so, the choice, as always, rests gently in your hands. 3. You are not truly exhausted. You are scattered. How often do we hear ourselves or others say, "I'm so tired. I just can't seem to do anything today." And yes, sometimes the body genuinely calls for rest, and honoring that need is part of the path of compassion. But more often, what we call exhaustion is not born of physical effort. It is the weariness that arises when the mind is pulled in many directions, when attention is fragmented, and when we lose touch with the simplicity of presence. Like a river diverted into countless small streams, our energy dissipates, not because we have worked too hard, but because we have been too divided. In truth, it is not the weight of the world that drains us, but the constant noise we allow into our inner space, the endless stimulation, the grasping at distraction, the restless shifting from one thing to the next. In the modern world, this fragmentation has become our norm. Notifications, messages, endless scrolling, multitasking. They scatter the mind, robbing it of clarity and peace. The Buddha taught that where the mind goes, energy follows. When we are mindful, steady in our attention, our energy flows like a powerful current. When we are distracted, that current weakens, and we feel depleted. This fatigue is not the honest tiredness that follows a day of meaningful work, the kind that feels wholesome and satisfying, as though we have truly lived. It is the emptiness that comes from having done too little of what matters and too much of what does not. The mind, untrained and scattered, grows weary not because life asks too much of it, but because it has lost its center. The way forward is not more stimulation, not more escape, but stillness, focus, simplicity. Imagine how life would transform if we guarded our attention as carefully as we guard our wealth. If, upon waking each day, we asked ourselves with gentle determination, what is truly worthy of my focus today? What will nourish my heart, my purpose, my peace? The Buddha taught that right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration are the path to freedom. These are the tools that help us reclaim our scattered mind and restore vitality. When we align our attention with our deepest values, energy flows naturally. So reflect now. Where is your attention leaking? What distractions have you allowed to steal your focus? Are you consuming more than you create? Are you dividing yourself between too many small, unworthy aims? The solution is not to seek more rest alone, but to seek clarity, to simplify, to return again and again to what truly matters. For when the mind is no longer scattered, what we called exhaustion fades, and what remains is a quiet strength. 4. Time is your most precious wealth. We hear it often. Time is valuable. Time is fleeting. But how deeply do we truly feel this truth? We guard our possessions. We strive for recognition. We accumulate what we can touch and count. But time, the most precious treasure of all, we give away so easily. We spend it on distractions, on trivialities, on things that neither nourish nor uplift the spirit. And then one day, we look back and realize that what was most valuable has slipped quietly through our fingers. The Buddha often reminded his followers of the impermanence of all things, urging them not to waste a single moment. The truth is simple and profound. Money lost can be earned again. Status gained can be lost and regained. Even health, in some cases, can be restored. But a moment of time, once gone, can never be reclaimed. This very day, this very breath, will never return. The way we spend our time is the way we spend our life. And yet, so many live as though tomorrow is guaranteed. They postpone their dreams. They delay what matters most. They move through the day as if there will always be another chance. But life is not endless, and to remember this is not to create fear, it is to awaken. When we truly see the impermanence of time, we stop tolerating the unnecessary. We begin to choose our work, our companions, our actions with care and intention. Every morning you are gifted 86,400 seconds, more valuable than any fortune. How often do we pause to consider how we spend these moments? The wise do not ask, how much time do I have left? But how can I use the time I have with meaning and compassion? A long life is not the same as a life well lived. Many pass through decades without presence, while others fill their days with purpose, kindness, and truth, leaving behind a legacy of peace. So consider this. You can continue drifting through time as though it were endless, or you can choose to honor it as sacred. When you do, you stop waiting for some imagined future, and you begin to live fully today. This is the great freedom, knowing that while we cannot control how much time we are given, we can choose how we meet each moment, and in doing so, we create a life rich in presence, free of regret. Time will run out. This we cannot change. But whether it runs out full of regret or full of life, that choice rests gently in your hands. 5. The path beyond comfort, where true growth blooms. There is a quiet truth that many hear, but few truly live. The path of awakening is not paved in ease and pleasure. In today's world, we are surrounded by invitations to escape discomfort. A click, a scroll, a sweet taste, a soft cushion. Everything tempts us toward ease. And slowly, this teaches us that struggle must be avoided. That if something challenges us, it is not for us. But the Buddha's teaching gently turns us back toward the heart of reality. Growth arises where we meet discomfort with mindfulness, not where we run from it. Imagine a lotus. It does not bloom on the smooth stones of a polished garden path. It opens only in the thick mud of the pond, in the still waters where decay feeds life. In the same way, our deepest wisdom, our greatest compassion, blooms where we are willing to stay with what is difficult. When we avoid discomfort, we feed the three poisons: craving, aversion, and delusion. We crave what is easy, we push away what is hard, and we fall into the illusion that we can walk through life untouched by pain. But the Dharma teaches, pain is not the enemy. Ignorance of its nature is. Consider a time in your own life when you grew, truly grew. Was it when everything was soft and easy? Or was it when you stayed present with uncertainty? When you faced a fear? When you tended to your heartache with kindness instead of turning away? The Buddha said in the Dhammapada, "As a solid rock is not shaken by the wind, so the wise are not moved by praise or blame." The wise are not those who seek to avoid the storm, but those who learn to stand within it, feeling the rain, hearing the thunder, and still choosing kindness, still choosing truth. And here is the hidden jewel. Discomfort, like all things, is impermanent. When we meet it with awareness, it passes, and in its passing, it leaves behind strength. But when we run from it, we find ourselves chased by shadows, never free. So I ask you to pause and reflect. Where are you gently turning away from discomfort today? Is there a conversation that stirs fear in your belly? A dream that asks you to risk failure? A habit that feels too hard to change? These are your practice grounds. Not because you must fight, but because you are invited to see. There is no need to flee. There is only the need to stay awake. Remember, the fire of difficulty, when met with mindfulness, tempers the heart like steel. It is not here to burn you. It is here to forge you. 6. Outgrowing with compassion, the flow of life. As we walk this path, there comes a tender sorrow, realizing that some relationships, some places, some roles that once felt like home, no longer nourish our spirit. This is not a failure. It is the natural rhythm of change, the law of impermanence unfolding before our eyes. The Buddha often spoke of how clinging brings suffering, but clinging is not only to objects and pleasures, We cling also to people, identities, and familiar places, long after they no longer serve our journey. Like a bird that tries to stay in the empty nest, we sometimes remain where we have already outgrown. But growth asks us to move. It asks us to release with love, not bitterness. Thich Nhat Hanh teaches, "You must love in such a way that the person you love feels free." And so it is with ourselves too. We must love ourselves enough to walk forward, even when the path takes us away from what once comforted us. You may find certain friendships now feel heavy. Certain conversations feel hollow. Certain places feel too small for the person you are becoming. This is not because you are better. It is because you are different, and difference is the fruit of practice. Yet, many of us cling. We stay out of guilt, out of nostalgia, out of fear of what will happen if we step into the unknown. But as the Buddha reminded us, all conditioned things are impermanent. Strive on with diligence. The river flows forward. To stand still in its current is to exhaust yourself. So look with gentle honesty. Where are you holding on too tightly? What relationships, what places, what patterns have completed their season in your life? Can you bow to them, thank them for what they gave, and allow them to go, so that something new may arise? Letting go is not rejection. It is not coldness. It is compassion, for yourself, for others, for the truth of life itself. And as you release, you create space. Space for friendships that align with your heart, for places that support your peace, for work that reflects your deepest values. But that space opens only when you trust the flow of change. Remember this: the tree does not cling to its autumn leaves, no matter how beautiful. It lets them fall, and in doing so, makes way for spring. 7. Boundaries as right intention, the gateways to inner peace. In the gentle teachings of the Buddha, we are reminded again and again that peace is not something to chase. It is something we cultivate within, through the way we live, speak, and act. And one of the most powerful, yet often overlooked ways to nurture this inner peace is through what Buddhism calls right intention and right effort, the practice of setting clear, compassionate boundaries in our lives. You see, when we fail to honor our own limits, it is like leaving the door of the mind open to every passing distraction, every unwholesome influence. Our energy becomes scattered, our attention fragmented. Instead of dwelling in the present, we find ourselves pulled in 1,000 directions, exhausted by the weight of what does not truly serve our heart's path. But boundaries, in the Buddhist view, are not walls of separation. They are acts of compassion, not only for ourselves, but for all beings. They arise from an intention to protect what is wholesome, to nourish what is wise, and to prevent harm, both inwardly and outwardly. The Buddha taught, just as a skilled gardener protects the tender shoots of a sapling, so must we protect the mind with care and vigilance. Boundaries are this protection. They are the gentle fences we place around the garden of our life, so that what is good may grow, and what would trample it may stay outside. Without such protection, even the most sincere practitioner finds their peace eroded, not by enemies, but by endless small invasions of what does not align with the path. Often we fear setting boundaries because we think it is unkind. But true kindness is never about abandoning our own well-being. When we say yes out of guilt or no out of fear, we are not practicing right speech or right action. We are, in fact, creating conditions for future suffering, for ourselves and for others. Think of a clear mountain stream. It flows peacefully because its banks hold it steady. Without those banks, it would spill everywhere, losing its strength, its clarity. In the same way, our intentions and values form the banks of our life stream. Without them, our energy seeps into places that do not support our awakening. And here is an important reflection. We cannot control how others respond to our boundaries. We cannot force the world to respect our limits. But as the Buddha reminded us, one who masters themselves is greater than one who conquers 1,000 men in battle. Boundaries, then, are not about controlling others. They are about mastering the mind's tendency to please, to fear rejection, to cling to approval. They are about choosing what aligns with the Dharma and gently releasing what does not. Yes, at first, setting boundaries may stir discomfort. You may feel the old pull of people-pleasing, the familiar pang of guilt. But as with all things, this too will pass. And beyond it, you will discover a spaciousness of heart, a clarity of mind that no external validation can offer. So ask yourself, with compassion and honesty, where are you allowing your time and energy to be consumed by what does not lead to peace? Where are you saying yes when the heart whispers no? Where could the practice of right effort help you reclaim the stillness that is your true home? And remember this: peace does not arise by chance. It is cultivated moment by moment, choice by choice. The boundaries you set today are the seeds of the freedom you will harvest tomorrow. Guard your mind as you would guard a precious lamp in the wind. Protect what is wholesome. And in doing so, you will find that peace is not far. It is right here, waiting for you to welcome it home. 8. You become what you repeatedly do. In the teachings of the Buddha, we are gently reminded that we are not shaped by fleeting thoughts, nor by grand intentions or distant dreams. We are shaped by the actions we return to again and again. What we choose in each moment, what we nurture in our daily lives, this is what carves the path of who we become. The Buddha taught that the mind is like a garden. If we plant seeds of mindfulness, compassion, and wise action, over time, those seeds will blossom into a life of peace and clarity. But if we neglect the garden, or fill it with weeds of heedlessness and craving, then suffering will inevitably follow. Look deeply at your own life, at the habits of your speech, your thoughts, your actions. Are they in harmony with the Dharma? Do they nourish the heart or feed restlessness and distraction? It is not in rare dramatic moments that our true character is formed, but in the quiet, unseen patterns of our everyday conduct. The way you greet the dawn, the way you respond when things do not go your way, the way you listen or fail to listen to those around you. The Buddha said, "Whatever one frequently thinks and ponders upon, that will become the inclination of the mind." In the same way, whatever we choose to do again and again becomes the direction of our life. Many become trapped by the illusion that change comes through grand gestures or sudden transformation. But this path, the middle way, teaches us that real change is gentle, steady, and consistent. A single act of mindfulness practiced daily can quiet the storm of the mind. A single act of kindness repeated can soften the hardest heart. A single moment of right effort, sustained day after day, builds unshakable strength. Just as drops of water can fill a vast jar, so too can small, wise actions shape a boundless life. So pause now and reflect. What are you becoming through your daily habits? If an awakened one were to observe your routines, your speech, your focus, what would they see? Would they see alignment with your highest values? Or would they see patterns of distraction, avoidance, or craving? And if what you see in yourself today is not what you wish to become, take heart. For with awareness, each moment becomes a fresh beginning. With right view, right effort, and right mindfulness, you can choose anew. The future is not some distant place. It is formed quietly and surely in what you repeatedly do right now. Let your actions reflect the awakened heart you seek to embody. 10. Most people don't care, and that's your freedom. In the light of the Buddha's teachings, there is a gentle truth that can bring great liberation. Most people are far too absorbed in their own struggles, their own longings, their own uncertainties, to be focused on you. This understanding frees the heart from unnecessary burdens. We often believe that others are watching our every step, judging our every word, replaying our moments of awkwardness or failure. But the reality is far simpler. They are caught in their own web of thoughts and concerns, just as we are in ours. The Buddha spoke of the mind's tendency to create stories, stories of self-importance, of imagined judgment, of praise and blame. These stories arise from the three poisons: craving, aversion, and delusion. When we seek the approval of others or fear their disapproval, we are caught in craving. When we imagine harsh judgment, we fall into aversion. And when we believe that we can control or predict what others think, we are clouded by delusion. All of these only deepen our suffering. Modern life, with its endless mirrors, social media, comparisons, the hunger for likes and applause, intensifies this illusion. We begin to live not in harmony with the Dharma, but in service of imagined spectators. We quiet our truth, we hold back our gifts, we delay our steps on the path, all for fear of shadows that do not exist. But the Buddha's way invites us to see clearly. The opinions of others are impermanent, like clouds across the sky. They arise, they change, they pass, and they are beyond our control. What then is within our control? Our own mind, our own intentions, our own actions. When we rest in mindfulness and right view, we realize that true peace comes not from managing how others see us, but from walking our path with sincerity. When we stop performing for the world, we begin living in alignment with what truly matters. And in that space, authenticity blooms. The lotus grows not in clear waters, but in the muddy depths. And so too can our true self emerge from the quiet courage to be as we are. Consider now how many opportunities have slipped away because you feared judgment. How many words of kindness have gone unsaid? How many steps toward growth were left untaken? And reflect, what has this avoidance cost you in peace, in fulfillment, in the flowering of your own potential? But let this awareness not bring regret. Let it bring freedom. For from this moment, you can choose differently. Imagine living with the quiet strength of one who understands that others are too lost in their own journey to follow yours closely. Imagine acting, speaking, and creating, not for approval, but from the stillness of right intention. Imagine a life where the imagined cage of judgment dissolves, and you walk freely in the light of your own truth. The Buddha taught that clinging to praise and fearing blame binds us to suffering. But when we let go, when we act with compassion, wisdom, and clarity, we find that the world's opinions lose their grip. Criticism may come, so may praise, but neither defines us. What defines us is how we meet each moment, with mindfulness, with courage, with an open heart. So I invite you to ask yourself, where are you holding back because of imagined eyes upon you? What would you do if you truly saw that the cage was never real, that the key has always been in your own hands? Choose now to unlock that door. Choose now to live as the Buddha taught, with inner freedom, with fearless compassion, and with unwavering presence on your path. Conclusion. In this fleeting life, shaped by the ever-changing tides of thought and perception, there is no greater freedom than to walk your path with clarity and courage. When we release the imagined weight of others' judgments, we return to what truly matters, the quiet work of cultivating wisdom, compassion, and inner peace. The Buddha's teachings remind us that the opinions of the world are like passing winds. They come and go, but they need not sway the steady flame of your heart's truth. So I invite you now, pause, breathe, and reflect deeply. Where in your life are you still wearing masks for an audience that isn't watching? Where are you holding back your authentic light, waiting for permission that you no longer need? The path to freedom is not in changing the minds of others, but in transforming your own. If this reflection has touched your heart, I encourage you to stay with this journey. Subscribe to this channel and join a community dedicated to walking the path of mindfulness, wisdom, and inner freedom. Share this message with someone who may need it, and let us all help one another awaken, gently, patiently, one moment at a time.